Hello, Sarah here from Frameweld. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an assessment in our online learning platform, Encourse. Adding an assessment to your course is a great way to ensure learners are engaged in the materials presented in a course. Assessments can be used to test the qualitative and quantitative learning process of learners, both with multiple choice and open answer questions, as well as a portal to submit written assignments. We can also use a non-scored assessment to gather information about the students in our course by creating a survey with no right or wrong answers. From the dashboard, we can add an assessment quick link, which will create a template that can be pulled into any course and is available to all instructors at our organization. When adding course content, I like to build from the course build page. Doing so means that content we create can only be used within this course unless the module is saved as a template at a later time. To get to the course build page, navigate to the Admin drop-down menu, then choose Courses and open the course. To add an assessment, then choose the Build tab. From the Build page of the course, click the Assessment button on your toolbar. Give your new assessment a title and select the type. Scored assessments serve as tests or quizzes with correct and incorrect answers. Non-scored assessments serve as a questionnaire or a survey, where there are no correct or incorrect answers. We could also add an assessment template or previously populated assessment from our module templates. Just check the box next to the assessment templates that you want to add to the course and click the Add Checked button below. Click Create New and we return to the course build page and we can see our assessment has been added. Here we can set and edit the module settings. Each of the drop-down menus are standard for all Encourse modules. First, select if the module is required or not required. If the assessment is required, students must take the assessment to move on to the next module. Dependency limits the access to the assessment based on completed previous modules, and access delay will force a time delay before the assessment module can be accessed. Specifically for assessments, there are a few more options to determine on the module settings panel. By selecting Yes for Pass-Fail, we expose several follow-up settings and must also set the pass threshold. When an assessment is designated as must pass, students must pass that threshold in order to move on to the next module. We will also choose to show or not show correct answers, the question value, and/or correct answer explanations. Before navigating away from the course build page, let's save our course content. Now, let's click to edit the module and start building the assessment. As you can see, we've been directed to the assessment settings page. Here, we can add or edit the module description, assessment instructions, and some additional settings of the assessment. The assessment title and description are shown on each of the assessment pages as part of the header of the assessment on your course build page, as well as the header of the assessment on the student course listing page. The second half of the assessment settings page reflects what the student or end user will see. Here we can write or edit the assessment instructions, randomize the order that questions appear for each student taking the assessment. We can randomize the order of the answers when they appear for students taking the assessment, and we can select the number of questions for that each assessment will display, thus further randomizing each individual assessment for each student. Let's save our settings and click to build the assessment. On the Build tab, we have a toolbar similar to the course build page toolbar with different question types. Single answer questions are questions that only have one correct answer, but offer multiple choices. When adding a single answer question, enter the question text and each of the answer options. Select the dot to the left to designate the correct answer. Assign a point value, and adding text in the hint field will show the hint to the students during the assessment. If we turned explanations on the settings page, it will show after the assessment has been submitted and graded. If we want to, we can also add an image to the question by selecting one from our local disk. Click Save Question to add the question and return to the assessment build page. Multiple answer questions are questions that can have more than one correct answer. Similar to the single answer question, when adding a multiple answer question, enter the question text and each of the answer options. Then check the box next to all of the correct answers and assign a point value. Ranked answer questions require that the end user label the answers in the proper order. When adding a ranked answer question, enter the question text and each of the answer options. Enter the order number next to each answer, assign a point value, and click Save Question to return to the assessment build page. Open-ended or essay questions allow students to write or upload a written response to the question. The instructor must grade these questions manually after the assessment has been submitted by the student. When adding an open-ended or essay question, enter the question text. You can limit the characters a student can use to answer the question, and choose to allow students to include an uploaded file. Assign a point value, then click Save Question to return to the assessment build page. As we add questions, they will appear on the assessment build page. We can always go back in and edit the questions and answers by clicking Edit. We can also move to reorder questions within the assessment using the panel to the right of the question. As we add content, let's make sure to click the Save button so that we don't accidentally lose content when we navigate away. When saving, we'll get a notice bar at the top of the page that indicates that changes have been saved. At any point, we can preview the latest saved version of the student view of the assessment by clicking the Preview button. In this new tab, we can see the assessment as a student would. Here is the single answer question. Students are only able to select one correct answer, and the hint we added is visible. Here is the multiple answer question. See how the student could check off as many boxes as they like? And the ranked answer question. We can use the drop-down menu to assign a numerical order. Finally, the open-ended question. We have a text box here that will count down the text characters, and there is also an uploader as we select it on the build page. Now that we've created our assessment and saved all changes, we can click Back to Course to continue building the course content. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial of the assessment features in Encourse. For additional information and step-by-step written directions for Encourse, visit our knowledge base.